Hi everyone, it's Diana with Homeschoolific, and today I am talking about the reason why you don't have balance. And this has been a video in the making for a long time, and but I really wanted to live it out quite a bit before I shared these tips with you, because I had found myself at a place where I was losing it. So stick around, shouldn't be too long, but grab a cup of tea and I'll tell you a little bit about how I achieved balance. Okay, so if this is your first time here with me, I'm Diana. I'm Homeschoolific. I am one of two. Lavonda is the other part of our duo. And we love to talk to mamas and daddies about homeschooling and this homeschooling life, and where curriculum and everything is really important. Your everyday, day-to-day life and maintaining your homeschooling is really important too. And you have to be able to maintain good, healthy mental state to be able to maintain being a homeschool mom, because this is a career, or homeschool parent, should I say. This is a career, and this career doesn't necessarily shut off because you're home and you're in it all the time. So balance is really important. So my first tip, or first thing that I'm going to put out there is we need to establish what balance is. Really, in all reality, most of the time, most people don't even understand what balance is. And I hear people quote the Serenity prayer a lot of times, and that's great and everything. However, you don't go through the complete Serenity prayer. And if you go through the complete Serenity prayer, which I will actually read out loud to you guys at the end of this video, then you'll find that there's a little more to balance than you think. I think the Serenity prayer is an excellent prayer, an excellent guideline about obtaining balance. However, if you only read the first stanza, you're not going to get it, or the first paragraph. So let's talk about what balance is. Balance, my friends, is not a juggling act. Let me repeat, it is not a juggling act. A lot of times people want to think that they should be juggling. Lavonda and I had this conversation, and it was ironic because we had this conversation after she recorded, but before she released her last video about balance. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it, because it's talking about balance with as a working homeschool mom. I find that whether you're working or not, the career of being a homeschool mom is a tough balance, and it is one that you must actually, honestly, probably master to make sure that you keep your mental health. If you don't master it, at least you need to get your due diligence in it and do some research. So like I said, it's not a juggling act. And what we have to remember, juggling is meant for the jesters, not for the queen. The queen has a lot of tasks, right? She has a lot of work. She has a lot of important things to do. But the jester entertains and he juggles, not the queen, not the king. So therefore, kings and queens, let's not juggle, let's balance, right? Okay, so now that we're not juggling all these balls, we have to understand that these balls that we think are supposed to be all up in the air, they're not all meant for us to take up on our plate right then and there. There are things that you can manage in a week, but you may not manage in a day. So let's start asking ourselves, are we asking too much of me? Am I asking myself, ask yourself that. Am I asking too much of me? And am I asking too much of my family or others? And that's a very important question. Particularly, I had to ask myself this question with working. When I thought of the idea of working and while homeschooling, in Las Vegas, I ran a homeschool group, and I put in a good 20 hours a week to that group. So upon taking the job that I took, I was told that I would do around 10 to 15 hours a week. I thought, no problem, not a big deal. But I am, not that I love to be, but I can be an ambitious woman. And as an ambitious woman, often we tend to take on more and more and more. And that's what happened. And I was starting to pull out 10 hours, sometimes up to 13-hour work days while homeschooling. Don't ask me how it was happening, because it really wasn't functioning well. It wasn't even working out on paper. You know you're in trouble when you're not working on paper. What I had to do is decide what I can and cannot do, what is possible and what is not possible. You've got to be real about yourself. And what I realized was a full-time job, while I wanted to still fully functionally, I didn't want to just do online schooling for my kids. We talked about it, and it just wasn't a good fit for our family. And we even talked about going back to either public school or charter school or maybe even the private school arena. And we just didn't feel like that's where God was leading us. So if I'm not supposed to put these kids in anyone else's care to school them, then what am I supposed to do? Because this full-time working is not going to happen. And so my husband and I, we sat down and we talked about it. And really what it is that we enjoy a certain quality of life, but we also decided that some of those things were not necessary and it went against our core, right? You got to think about that. So when I say, what are you expecting out of yourself? I mean, in so many different areas. What are you expecting out of yourself in the maintaining of your home? Laundry. I wash and dry every day. It does not always get put away every day. That is the goal, but it is a goal way back on the burner. You have to look at that and decide, what are you expecting out of your day? And is it realistic? Okay, and I'll get to the end of like what mine looks like so that you guys can have an example, but I want this information to get through for those who are here to get it and go, okay? So, are you asking too much of yourself? Now that you've kind of looked at that, there's a really big question that you have to ask. And this question is really important because the question, and really you should ask this question almost probably before you say, am I asking too much? But I'm not going to change that. And the reason why is because you probably need to scale back before you put all this in line. The next question is, what's the point? What's the reason? What's the point of this? What's the hope that you have for your life in doing this? What's the hope you have for your children's life in this? An excellent book that I read that started me on this journey of balance was Homeschooling from Rest. If you have not read it, it's in Audible. I am not like this. I do not get anything for this. Audible, if you want to talk to us, hit a girl up and we will, be one of your, you can be one of our sponsors, but that's not why. I'm just telling you, as a homeschooling mama, this book really blessed me. It made me evaluate everything we were doing, all the things we had signed up for, everything, and just really scale back. I even canceled one of my son's co-op classes. I changed a lot, guys, to bring balance back to our home. And so I recommend this book. But one of the things that I did early on in my homeschooling career, and I've done in my personal life, this is something my husband actually stresses doing, is to write out your mission statement. If you don't have a mission statement, you should do this for your family. And it doesn't just go across your homeschooling, it goes across for your family. If things that you're squeezing into your life is not going for your mission statement for your family, for the overall, then you need to go ahead and squash it, right? Why? Look at what you're doing, why you're doing, what is the hope? Why are you doing this? Why are you homeschooling your kids? What do you want them to get out of it? Is it about flexibility? Is it about family time? Is it about core values? What is it and why? For us, it's a multitude of things, and I have my mission statement, but I don't want this video to be very long, and I really do want to read the Serenity prayer to you guys at the end and go through a little bit about how our days kind of run. So I'm not going to share everything with you, but I'm going to just say, for me, it's really important that my family feels at the end of the day, they feel loved, cherished. They felt that they got something out of the day, that we added to the world in some way, that I added to my children's life in some way, and that they got also, it was a currency. That's important to me. My house to feel like, I want my family to feel comfortable in my home. So I like to maintain a decent home, but I'm also have let go of the need to have every single room absolutely perfect every day. That's not happening. But yeah, that's kind of my core thing, right? So the other thing I had to evaluate, and this was the hardest thing about getting to this place of balance for me. I had to watch our natural flow and stop fighting against it. Guys, this was hard because over the last going on 2 years since 2020 happened, and my family never returned to what we knew for years to be pretty much our normal. And we've had a lot of dynamics change in our family. Every time a child leaves the house, it disrupts drastically, and then I work to get it back. I work to find a good routine, and I go, right? But it's still, there's a skeleton of that routine that happens, right? That's been happening, that I've been able to stick to, and it just wasn't working anymore. And for 2.5 years, I have fought this system, and at no point were we ever successful with this new idea that I had in my head. So what I had to do is observe our natural flow and work in that. And I had to do something I didn't want to do to make it work, and it's working. And I'm not overwhelmed. I'm not stressed. I work myself to almost exhaustion at the end of the day, but it's like that good exhaustion, like a good hard day's work, not a, oh, I hate my life, I can't believe I got to get up and do this again tomorrow, because that's where I was. There was meltdowns, there was so many things happening, and I love schooling my children, and I'm literally like, I'm going to see about something else. I don't know if I can keep maintaining this. And then at the core, but it wasn't something I wanted to give up either, you know what I'm saying? And frankly, you know, just to be real, I work to pay taxes, guys, and so it was like, there's got to be another way, you know. And there was, and I know that's not everybody's story, but my point is to say that I was willing to look at things that I originally said absolutely no to, like putting my kids back into school, or none of these guys have ever been in school, but putting them into public school or something like that. I questioned the unquestionable for a while, and you might need to too. So what does true balance look like? True balance looks like, in our home, Mama getting up and getting her time. And it's, you know, I give myself about an hour a day to put myself together, to sit and have a cup of coffee quietly, and to pray. I work in the morning before everybody gets up, and I let those little kids get up a little later than I had originally wanted to, because that's what our natural home did. Even my husband gets up later than the kids do, and frankly, I do really well with mornings, and so it was great because I could pour into work and still have plenty of energy for them. We school for our time, and I don't let work interrupt that at all. Again, I know that's not the case for everybody, but I'm just letting you know where's mine. It was important to me that work was work and school was school. And when I school my children, I act like I don't work at all. And then I go, I'll tie up any loose ends I need to for work if I needed to for the day, which is rare, but I do that. And then I go about my mommy business. I wear my mama cap, and I cook and I clean, and I spend just an hour a day. I go 10 minutes per room. It's not enough, 10 minutes to complete every room, but I just start from whatever side I want to. And like the most important sides to me usually starts in the classroom, and I just work my way through the house, 10 minutes. And every room gets 10 minutes. The kitchen gets 15, and the laundry gets 15 minutes. And I get done what I can, and then I leave the rest. And then by 9 o'clock, 9:30, I stop, and I have my wind down time. I shower and everything, and I have my wind down time, and I go to bed at 10:30, back up at 5:30, 5:45. And so that for me has created a lovely flow balance. Do I get everything that my heart felt like it was supposed to have? No, I don't. It was actually challenging other people's desires for our lives. And when I say other people, I don't mean like people who are talking in. I'm talking about people I might see on TV, on YouTube, or friends that I admire and how their household runs. And that wasn't the reality for my household. The reality is that I want to be a homeschooling mama. I want to take my kids to field trips. I want to enjoy that time with them. It is precious. I have 3 grown children. I know how precious this time is, and I refuse to miss it. And that is really important. I want a good relationship with my husband. I want to make sure that we have our time together, while we can't have those nightly times that I was hoping for every night, because we used to hang out too long every night, and that was another problem. But I want to make sure that I'm having time with my husband every night. I want time with my girlfriends. Like me and Lavonda, while we do talk and hang out a lot, we never really get a lot of time together where we just get to hang out together and go somewhere. And so I used to do, she and I, we were both really good about this with our friends. We would just go and just have a mom's night out and get together once a month, every couple months. And I've been really bad about that. And I find it so rejuvenating. You know, these are things that we need. I want to live. I don't want to be focused on cleaning, working, and cooking all the time. That's what I want. Okay, so this video is longer than I want. Let me go ahead and read to you the full Serenity prayer. So this is the full Serenity prayer as it was originally written. You can find a modified version of it that's less Christian if that's what you prefer. But this is the original way it was written and the full. God, give us grace to accept with serenity the things that cannot be changed, courage to change the things that should be changed, and the wisdom to distinguish the one from the other, living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as a pathway to peace, taking, as Jesus did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Amen. So that is the full Serenity prayer, and I focus on that particularly because there's a few things I want you to understand. Accepting hardships as a pathway to peace. Taking this sinful world as it is, not as I will have it. Surrendering to your will. We get to carve out a little piece of the world to ourselves. We do, but there's only so much in our control. Let go of what's not in your control and just work with the wave, work with the tide. Do not try to control the tide. That is why you're not living in balance. This video was helpful for you. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. And we can't wait to do more of these videos. We have more coming up. Like I said, guys, it's a dog mommy's world. And while this channel is on our high priority list, our families are first. So we will do our best to get videos out as often as we can. But please share, like, partner with us in getting this channel up and going even more to more places, to more people, to help mamas and daddies homeschool. I love you all, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.